Most of us remember in 2008 when the housing market crashed. As the market plodded along with short sales and foreclosures, there was talk about shadow inventory coming to further crash the housing market. Article after article was written about all these banks that were holding back hundreds of homes that they were then going to release into the market, and this is what they were considering shadow inventory. But here's a little reminder, there was no shadow inventory. Well, today, shadow inventory is being talked about again, but it's in a little different way. In our market today, the U.S. Census Bureau is reporting that there are 15 million vacant homes. And some are equating this to shadow inventory, thinking that all of these vacant homes are then going to flood our inventory and crash the housing market. So to dive deeper into this, I wanted to see what the census actually considered a vacant home. And here's their definition. A housing unit is vacant if no one is living in it at the time of the interview, unless its occupants are only temporarily absent. In addition, a vacant unit may be one which is entirely occupied by persons who have a usual residence elsewhere. New units not yet occupied are classified as vacant housing units if construction has reached a point where all exterior windows and doors are installed and final usable floors are in place. In other words, they are classifying short-term rentals, second homes, and new home construction that doesn't have their certificate of occupancy yet for anyone to even live in it, all as vacant homes. Now, when it comes to the short-term rentals and adding these to vacant homes, this completely skews the numbers. These homes are being used. There is just not one person or one family that is using this on a consistent, regular basis or long period of time. To me, this does not equate a vacant home. I know the question that many will probably ask, well, how many short-term rentals are there really in the United States? Well, in an article by iProperty Management, they estimate that there are just under 2 million professionally managed short-term rentals nationwide. That means there's actually more because they're not all professionally managed. Now, some believe that the short-term rental market is actually declining, and that with our economy changing, short-term rental owners are going to continue to have vacancies. And if that happens, these owners will put these homes on the market and sell them. And they're equating that to potential shadow inventory. Here in the Phoenix market, this has been talked about a lot. The thought is that all these short-term rental owners that are not getting them rented out or not getting them rented out consistently right now in our spring market, which is the hottest market that we have, that if this is not happening, that they will eventually then just put their homes on the market and sell them. And could this happen? Sure, it could. Do I see this as shadow inventory or a wave of absolute listings that are going to come into our market? I don't. In fact, our inventory here in the Phoenix market continues to decrease rather than increase. So could we see a trickle of those homes come on the market? Sure, we could. But the likelihood is that if those short-term rental owners are not getting consistent occupancies in those homes, before they try to sell them, they will likely flip them into long-term rentals and maybe take a little bit less of a positive cash flow, but still get a positive cash flow on these homes. And with that Super Bowl being here in Arizona, there was a lot of talk about these short-term rentals and how we were going to explode with short-term rentals, and that after the Super Bowl was over, we would likely see a lot of these homes come back on the market and sell them after these owners took advantage of all of the opportunity that they had during the Super Bowl. And then a headline came out after the Super Bowl saying that 50% of our short-term rentals here in the Phoenix market were vacant during that time. And I got to be honest, a lot of us braced for that. We thought, here it comes. These short-term rental owners that thought that they were going to be able to cash in on all of these short-term rental opportunities during the Super Bowl, and it didn't happen. We thought, that's it. They are going to hit the market. But guess what? They didn't come. This brings us to the second homes. Now, these being considered vacant is right along the same lines as short-term rentals being considered vacant homes. They're not vacant. People are using these homes. They're just not their primary residence, but they are far from vacant. These second homes being looked at as potential inventory, as shadow inventory that they're calling this, purely based on the fact that they're second homes, again skews the numbers. Now, this chart shows how the demand for second homes has actually decreased. So there are less of them being purchased, but that does not mean that those that still own them automatically are going to put them on the market and sell them. In fact, in an article by Redfin, they said this about the decline in demand for second homes. Sky-high prices, loan fee increases, and financial market weakness are putting a dent in demand for vacation homes, which soared during the pandemic. There is still more demand for second homes than there were before the pandemic. Still more demand than before the pandemic, though. And these owners Just like primary residence owners, if they have a loan on them, they're likely at a very low interest rate. And so instead of selling, they're likely going to just sit and hold them. In the Phoenix market, you can see from this chart that the number of second homes purchased did come down in the third and fourth quarter of 2022, but has come back up in the first quarter of 2023. So there are still people out there buying second homes. Now let's take a look at new construction and shadow inventory. I have heard this time and time again that there are new home construction subdivisions with tons of homes that are completed, not for sale, that they're just holding on to. What about those homes? Builders have no reason to hold any of these homes off the market. In fact, in the Phoenix MLS right now, 10% of the homes on the market currently are new home construction. And this is all over the valley. New builds are being purchased. And to further demonstrate that, an article from Housing Wire recently said this: new home sales started off 2023 on a positive note, rising 7.2% from December to a seasonally adjusted annual pace of 670,000 homes, according to data published by the U.S. Census Bureau and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This marks the second consecutive month of increases and the strongest sales pace since March of 2022. And speaking of that March 2022 date, from March of 2022 to October of 2022, this is when we saw a drastic increase in our inventory, a surge, if you will. So those reporting that our inventory surged, they're not wrong. The difference is that the surge happened from March 2022 to October 2022. So saying the surge is happening now just means they're late, because the surge has already happened. And that surge of inventory primarily came from new home construction and the iBuyers. See, new home construction during that time period before that didn't have to put their homes on MLS. They had people lined up at their doors begging to buy their homes. Well, then things shifted and they had to make a shift as well. So all of those homes that were in pre-construction ended up in MLS, as well as those people that canceled their new home construction contract. Those homes ended up in MLS as well. But as I just mentioned in that Housing Wire article, the new home construction market has increased, and a lot of that inventory that had come back to them has already been sold and is off their books already. See, when these builders' interest lists went away, they had to react, and they did it fast. In fact, on September 28th of 2022, the Cromford Report said this about new construction. When the housing market started to head south in 2005, the home builders accelerated their construction plans and kept building single-family homes in central Arizona at a record high level for another 2 years. It was not until August of 2007 that new single-family permits dropped below 2,000 per month. They would not see that 2000 level again until 2018, 11 years later. This time around, things are very different. Builders are more cautious and have scaled back their building after the recent market weakness. In July and August, we are seeing roughly 2,000 per month, well down from 3,000 a month level we were seeing a year ago. And the annual permit rate is trending down. In fact, if you look at this chart showing all the building permits across the US, you can see the difference in number of permits pulled in 2005 versus now. They are much lower now. This new home construction shadow inventory that some are talking about, it just doesn't exist. Now, I have been into the sales offices for these new home construction sites, and I have talked to other agents in other cities and in other states. And do builders have quick delivery homes that they're ready to sell now or within the next 3 to 6 months? They do, but it is not a glut of inventory that they have just sitting there. The builders are selling those, and they are backing way off on pulling any permits unless they have a contract for purchase. The reality is we are still in an overall housing shortage. The United States is not building enough homes to match the number of households that are being created. As a result, there is a sizable shortage of new homes after more than a decade of underbuilding and population growth. This is all according to new analysis by Realtor.com. Just to give you some context, 45% of all homes are owned without a mortgage. And of the remaining 55%, 85% of those homes are owned with a mortgage that is less than 5%. It doesn't matter if the home is considered vacant or not. Unless the owner has some significant financial issues, they will just be holding on to these homes. If you like this video, make sure you take a look at these. If I can ever answer any questions, please feel free to reach out. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.